Wolverine-Hulk hybrid, Weapon H explored. We all know how strong both Wolverine and Hulk are. In fact, they are easily some of the heroes who are best known for possessing insane physical strength. Wolverine is feared for his adamantium claws and fighting capability, while the Hulk is known best for smashing everything in his way when enraged. Imagine, what would a hybrid of these two beasts look like, and more importantly, how powerful would it be? Well, when it comes to making superhumans, no other organization does it better than Weapons Plus program, or the Weapon X program as it is better known. The program is known to be ambitious, often creating entities that are too powerful to be controlled, even by them. The result of one of their crazy and ambitious experiments was Weapon H, otherwise known as Clayton Cortez, who is a fictional character who appears in Marvel Comics' American comic books. The character was originally introduced in Greg Pak and Mike Deodato Jr.'s The Totally Awesome Hulk #21 in September of 2017 as part of the Weapons of Mutant Destruction storyline. Weapon H eventually got his own comic series, which tells the narrative of what he's been up to since the Weapons of Mutant Destruction storyline ended. A soldier called Clay was subjected to an experiment that merged his DNA with samples from Amadeus Cho, the Totally Awesome Hulk, and Wolverine, creating a new era super soldier as part of Marvel Comics' recent Weapons of Mutant Destruction mini-event. By the end of the tale, he'd drawn a number of Marvel characters and reasserted his authority over the brainwashing he'd been subjected to by the Weapon X program. He'll go out to build a name for himself in his own continuous series now that he's his own man. Without further ado, let us tell you all about this dangerous and powerful hybrid. But before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin. Weapon H origin. Clayton Cortez was a former Eagle Star contractor whose crew was contracted to eliminate the people of Ujanka for damaging a Roxxon pipeline. During the massacre, Clay developed a conscience and killed his own men, leading to his capture and subsequent sale to Dr. Alba, the leader of Weapon X's Batch H program, which was tasked with developing Hulk Wolverine hybrid mutant killing cyborgs. In many aspects, H-Alpha was different from Weapon X's other subjects. First, he wasn't directly recruited by Director Stryker, therefore he wasn't a true believer of his cause. Second, Alba was left with more of his brain than other subjects, with the goal of better training and discipline. H-Alpha had 15 minutes left of incubation time when the Hulk and a squad of mutants investigated Weapon X and raided their central command. Dr. Alba was able to finish H-Alpha's process, thanks to H-Beta, and she eventually released him. The struggle between H-Beta and the Hulk was joined by H-Alpha. H-Alpha beheaded H-Beta due to his programming to serve as an apex predator. Alba theorized that H-Alpha turned against his creators because he possessed enough of his original brain to hate the atrocities that they had committed against him. They resumed battling as Hulk pulled him back. H-Alpha abruptly ceased fighting and jumped away once Weapon X employees had vacated the site. Weapon H moved from Eagle Star facility to Eagle Star facility, wiping any data about him they had so people like Stryker wouldn't target them in order to protect the family he hardly remembered he had. Dr. Alba injected Clay with a nanite strain capable of resetting his command settings in one of these facilities, and then ordered him to assault Stryker and his cyborgs. When Dr. Alba ordered Weapon H to kill the entire population of Phoenix in order to prove his superiority, the same gang of mutants who attacked the Weapon X Central Command with the Hulk, whom Weapon H had previously encountered and easily vanquished along with Wolverine, freed him from Dr. Alba's control. As a result, he decided to resume his objective of wiping any trace of his family in order to protect them. Clayton pretended to be a Spanish worker to avoid detection, but he eventually lost control and turned into his beastly form, and this is where the first issue of Weapon H picks up. Half Hulk, half Wolverine, full chaos. The premise of the first issue of the Weapon H comic series is quite simple. Clay Sung is a man whose genetic material has been combined with that of the Hulk and Wolverine. He was supposed to murder mutants, but he pretended to die and has been on the run ever since. Now, he's in the frigid mountains of Alaska's border with Canada. In fact, he goes to the extent of cutting off the skin from his fingers so that his fingertips become untraceable in the opening few pages of the comic. However, his lonesome survival is interrupted because there is a research team that is stranded with few resources. Clay is adamant about not becoming involved, but when the crew starts interfering with powerful forces, they ultimately need Weapon H's help to stay alive. Even if the notion appears simple, it is intriguing. Weapon H was created by Greg Pak in the pages of Weapon X, and his drawings on his X-Men and Hulk backgrounds create a character who was more than simply just a gimmick. Weapon H is one of those characters that anyone who thinks Wolverine and the Hulk are overly well known might dismiss. Thus, it is a story that has to take risks since it's predicated on such a simple premise, combining Wolverine and the Hulk into one person. It follows a character that is never too much like the Hulk or too much like Wolverine in one issue. Pak goes out of his way to steer Weapon H in the right direction. Although there are elements that fans of the Hulk and Wolverine will recognize, the plot never feels too familiar or predictable, except from the messy monster battles. That's one feature that can't be overemphasized. Fighting monsters, on the other hand, is only a small portion of Weapon H's #1 plot. However, that does not mean that there is a lack of action in this issue. That is far from the truth. In the opening pages, we see Weapon H smashing people into the ground as he loses control in a factory he was working at, and later, we see him defend the researcher group as they are attacked by a gigantic Wendigo, which in itself is a testament to how strong this weapon really is. This comic makes it vital to establish who Weapon H and his alter ego, Clay, are in his narrative. He isn't like Bruce Banner, who is clever but meek and has anger management difficulties. He's also not a womanizing, hard-drinking savage like Wolverine. He's a trained soldier who made the mistake of believing that a live weapons program wouldn't mess him up and leave him scarred for life. Clay still presents himself as a good man and a devoted soldier, no matter how ridiculous that notion may appear to anyone who understands anything about the history of living weapons in the Marvel Universe. These same qualities enabled him to survive the events of Weapons of Mutant Destruction, which are also seen in Totally Awesome Hulk in Weapon X. They're also what drives him in his new chapter of his life. By this time, Clay has hardened. He's aware that he's the target, and not simply because living weapons tend to attract negative attention. He also realizes that there are a lot of things that needs to be smashed and stabbed. He doesn't go out in a cape or a silly costume in search of it. He knows it'll eventually find him, which is why he tries to keep a low profile. He does odd jobs while appearing to be unable to communicate in English or Spanish. He stays away from populous regions and well-worn paths. He basically does all that Bruce Banner did. That is, he kept to himself and isolated himself from regular people. Clay and Weapon H have adjusted to the changes. He's in a difficult circumstance, yet he doesn't spend half of the story whining about it. He grinds his teeth and fights through whatever obstacles come his way, including those who aren't monsters. Clay's story feels more authentic even when he has to face a monster, at a time when many soldiers aren't given the Captain America treatment. Along with Clay's family, there's a subplot involving Roxxon, one of the few Marvel organizations brave enough, or foolish enough, to get involved with live weapons. While there is a valid cause within the context of the story, Roxxon primarily provides Weapon H with something other than monsters to destroy. Sonya, Clay's wife, is seeking to receive benefits from the military for her husband's death in this follow-up narrative. She has trouble doing so, and it turns out she works at Roxxon. Weapon X versus Wendigo. The second issue shows us the true extent of the power that Weapon X possesses. With Hulk's massive frame and Wolverine's adamantium claws, he is an absolute beast. Do you enjoy action sequences? Do you enjoy monsters and fighting? Why not try some Wendigo jerky? For the most part, that's the whole storyline in this issue. The episode kicks off with a battle between Weapon H and the Wendigo, which is basically a massive Wendigo. The issue largely follows the altercation between Weapon X and the Wendigo. Clayton had intervened when he had noticed the Wendigo in the Alaskan mountains, as his moral compass did not allow him to leave the people in danger. However, the expedition itself turned out to be a cover for the Roxxon Corporation to obtain a Wendigo. Thus, when he transformed into his beast form to fight the Wendigo and protect the team, he ended up revealing himself to Roxxon in the process. After that, he attempted to get Dr. Sterling to safety, but the Wendigo caught him mid-flight and bit him, growing larger than before. It seemed like Weapon X was taking a beating. Doctor Strange learned of the conflict and showed up at the site of the battle, and he attempted to kill the Wendigo with a magic arrow, but it failed. It turns out that when eating a Wendigo, it can transform you into an asteroid-infused Wendigo yourself, and Weapon H is one who uses his sense of smell to figure it all out. He has a strong suspicion that the flesh the crewmen were consuming to survive in the harsh wilderness due to the limited resources was truly Wendigo and not human. Weapon H thus not only has a strong sense of smell and barbarous adamantium claws, but he also has Wolverine's mixed healing factor and the strength of a Hulk without the mindless wrath. Sure, he appears to be able to become enraged, but it does not appear to drive Weapon H. The fight continues as Doctor Strange fails to stop the Wendigo, and we end the issue with Weapon H grabbing a mystical axe from Doctor Strange and driving it into the mouth of the overgrown Wendigo, only to have him explode out of its stomach later and discover that the people who work for the Roxxon Corps, the ones who creates Wendigos, also employs alien squid people and machines. The resourcefulness of Weapon X is seen in this issue as he expertly navigates around the monster and figures out the best way to kill it, allowing himself to be swallowed whole by the Wendigo. It seemed like a suicide mission at first, but when he sliced through from the inside of the cursed beast, it was a sight to behold and confirms all the speculations of the amount of power Weapon X actually possesses. This issue ends with an ominous warning hinting at how Roxxon wanted to capture Weapon X for their own benefit and experimentation, and thus, we also see that his power is at such a level that it is covered by secret organizations. What makes Weapon H so powerful? Weapon H is mighty powerful, and here is the why we say so. He's a cyborg with a gamma mutation. H-Alpha was subjected to experiments in which he was grafted with the DNA of Logan, the Hulk, and a slew of other superhumans. Adamantium had also been attached to his skeleton despite having his skeleton laced with adamantium. H-Alpha has the ability to switch between human and animal forms. It's been suggested that the reverse-engineered nanotechnology from Lady Deathstrike may make this possible. Weapon H, according to Dr. Alba, has the potential to destroy every single person on the planet. Because a portion of his DNA is Hulk, Weapon H possesses near-limitless physical power, which he demonstrated when he faced Amadeus in his initial Hulk form. Superhuman leaping is another of his abilities, as in Weapon H can leap enormous distances using his highly enhanced leg muscles. He even covered a distance of 547 miles or 880 kilometers in a single leap. Cortez could jump higher than a typical human even when not in Hulk shape. During the fight with Wolverine, Cortez managed to jump many feet from the ground level to the branch of a towering tree. Weapon H, like the Hulk, can inhale large amounts of air for a variety of effects. For instance, he extinguished a major fire that enveloped Redwood National Park and destroyed Man-Thing. He also has retractable bone claws, extendable bone studs, and projectile claws, as well as superhuman speed. Cortez acquires immense physical resistance to physical injury due to enhanced density of skin, muscle, and bone mass in tandem with his adamantium skeleton and healing factor, to the point where killing or injuring him is exceedingly difficult, if not impossible. The skin of Weapon H is impenetrable to traditional blades, with only adamantium and vibranium being able to effectively pierce and penetrate his skin. Weapon H is bulletproof, flame resistant, and capable of withstanding huge exposures at point-blank range as well as falls from great heights. This invulnerability has also extended to the visual system. Clayton's adamantium skeleton makes him far more durable than a typical human, even when he isn't in Hulk form. Although he is in human form, bullets can damage him if they strike his skeleton, and he has survived strikes from the Hulk in Wrath. He also possesses regenerative healing factors, enhanced senses, and the capability to regenerate probability fields. Clayton is an expert at hand-to-hand combat, having served in the Marine Corps and the Navy SEALs, as well as working as a mercenary. With only his bare hands, he was able to fight many armed mercenaries. Clayton was trained in the usage of human and alien martial arts at some point in his past, since a scientist observed him employing Krav Maga, Jiu-Jitsu, and the Break World Death Punch to fight the Roxxon Skywell F-10. Clayton is adept with weapons and a fairly dependable shot, having served in the military. And get ready for the most insane part, his physical power is said to be comparable to that of the Hulk. However, he does have weaknesses. Clayton suffers from amnesia and has no recollection of his background save for hazy memories of his stay at the Eagle Star Corporation and his initial name. This could be a side effect of the Weapons X program's test on him. Having the power of the Hulk has also given Clayton his own inner beast, which he must continually restrict, similar to Banner and Amadeus. This means he must always regulate his impulses if he doesn't want to lose control while in his Hulk state. There are many more issues to the Weapon X comic series with details of his adventures and crazy altercations with monsters, heroes, and villains of all kinds. While the concept of Hulk-Wolverine hybrid might seem a little childish if you are a fan of action, this one has enough adrenaline to keep you hooked. So, what do you think about Weapon X? Let us know in the comments below. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.